And what's going on? It's your boy Fontaine, VIPSoundLab.com. Right now I'm sitting here on the new Maschine Studio. Just wanted to run over a few things with you guys on the new Maschine Studio, as well as the new Maschine 2.0 software. My hat's off to Native Instruments, a very brilliant and intuitive controller. Immediately off the bat, you begin to notice that the original on the MK2, we had like a little wheel that was located here. That wheel has been removed, as well as the shift functions that were located above the pads here. Those pads that were such for copy, paste, edit, things of that nature, has been replaced by this neat little edit section here. We also have a nice jog wheel where you can browse through your samples. You know, you can select channels, edit, tune, swing, adjust the volume. You know, so we also have these nice little section here where you can go to your master stereo, your group, your sends, your cues. You also can go to your inputs here, and you also can monitor your sound levels through this little graphic LED right here. So well thought out, a lot of things going on. Of course, the new two brilliant screens. You know, we have the 3 MIDI inputs, the 1 MIDI output, the foot switches. Just an overall nice layout. My first initial reaction when I got it, the weight of it, it felt extremely well built, like a brushed aluminum finish towards the bottom, a high gloss finish towards the top. Definitely felt sturdy. It almost felt like a regular drum machine, like you can unplug it and it would just like run on its own. That's how it feels. It's just that amazing. The pads are a lot more sensitive too. Okay, for example, I'm on the browsing section here. Let's go over some of the things that the new studio hardware controller can do. Let's get familiar with it. For example, I'm on my user banks here. Here's the Native Instruments library here. You can browse through drum sounds. You can go through your types, clap, cymbal. So that makes finding your sounds a lot easier when you can just go through your filters and attributes. To get to your user library, you just simply click the user button here. As you can see, some of my kits are showing up here. Now, they default to like a gray background, but you can change that, as I've done here with my Fat Stacks digital analog drum kit. Speaking of which, we've been listening to a lot of members, and what we've decided to do, we're going to do an update on the drum kits. Okay, so to make them a lot more consistent, we're going to take the kicks here and we're going to put the hi-hats here. So we're going to have the kicks a little more to the left, your hi-hats more or less on pads 14, 10, 6, and 2. Your kicks would be like on 13, 9, 5, and 1. And your snares would be more towards like 15, 11, 7, 3. And the percussion sounds will have them more towards the right, just to give it a more consistent overall feel. Also, just to make it a little bit, or rather to make it a little bit more easier when you're loading the groups and you're going through different MIDI patterns. It's going to make it a lot easier to preview the sounds or switch up the sounds in your kits. So you guys speak, we listen. So we're taking care of that. I got half of that done now. So right now we're focusing on consistency with that. You already know the drum sounds are dope. They're thick, they're layered, they're warm and punchy. So if you guys want to check that out, you can head over to VIPSoundLab.com. You know, so just going over some of the sounds. You know, the sounds are well built. They're very heavy. They're very thick. Again, head over to VIPSoundLab.com and check that out. But anyway, let's get back to the studio. All right, the Maschine Studio, for example, I just wanted to show you the sample section right quick. Let's jump over here to sample. Of course, this is just a regular kick drum. I'm not going to use any audio wave file right now because I don't want to run too long in the video. So you immediately notice the workflow is about the same as in the 1.8 software. But, you know, a completely new layout. It's a lot more easier. And, you know, you can set the samples up so you don't have to have the MIDI pattern of your chops actually be in the software. You know, I'll show that a little bit later. But for right now, trust me, you could do that. You know, and even if you did, you have a clear button here where you can actually take it off and like, bam, like so quick. So let's say, for example, if I was on this particular kick here, and let's say I wanted to edit that up a little bit, or slice it up rather. Okay, you immediately notice that you have split mode, grid, as well as detect, and you can scroll left or right, if you want to do your 0x, do some crossfading, beat per minute, sensitivity, things of that nature. Let's take a look at actually slicing this up. Now, one thing I wanted to point out, as I was just browsing through, getting some things set up here, you can call it housekeeping, I guess. Right now, I chose the split mode, okay, and I chose 4. You don't have to. You can do 4, you can do 8, whatever you're comfortable with, just to make it a little bit easier on the eyes. Cause I'm using little cam. You can scroll through your slices like this. It says slice 1-4, and I can go to 2-4, 3-4, and 4-4. And you can see I'm going through the samples, and you notice in the selection section down below, I can adjust the start points, the end points. You can do overlapping of samples now, so that's a cool feature in itself. Just overlapping some samples, just showing you real quick how easy it is. Basically whatever you want to do. It also has a zone where you can adjust your map. Let me see here. You can do it from the software if you like. You see that moving? If you just want to have it on a specific key range, you could do that. And I'll get a little more into that on the software side of things. But yeah, and when you're done editing up your samples, you just press apply or apply to. And again, you can press the clear button here and take the MIDI pattern off, or you can set it up in the actual software to where it won't even do that. Of course, we have the new mixer screens. Everybody's going to love that. You can set up your plugins, monitor your levels. You also can come in here and do, set up your side chains and plugins. But we'll get into a little more of this on the software side of things, because I believe I can explain it a lot better on that side, because you can see a lot more what's going on. And welcome back. It's your boy Fontaine, VIPSoundLab.com, checking out the new Maschine 2.0 software. And make sure that this sound is actually coming through. All right, we got the sound coming through. Just a quick update to my VIP members as far as the consistency goes to the drum kits. We're going to be doing some updates on the drum kits. I'm about halfway done with it now. And if you purchase some drum kits from us, we're going to give you guys the updates for that, as well as a new Maschine 2.0 format. Once that newsletter goes out, it'll have a download link, so you guys can go ahead and you can download that, because we want to have the kicks more or less towards the left, between, say, like pads 13, 9, 5 and 1, and the hi-hats more or less 14, 10, 6 and 2, snares on 13, 11, 7 and 3, and the percussions or other sounds more or less towards the right, like pads 16, 12, 8 and 4, just to give a better feel. So when you guys switching through kits and MIDI patterns, you can preview the sounds a lot easier and a lot faster, and it makes going through the sounds a lot easier when you're incorporating it into, certain workflows that you have. You might have a certain layout. Not saying we're trying to put anybody in a box or have you confined to one layout, because we know, people like to change their pad layout all the time. But, we listen to what people want, so we're going to go ahead and do it like that. You already know the sounds is dope. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the 2.0 software. Immediately, the first thing that you notice off the bat is that the pattern arranger doesn't have the tabs anymore. They used to say 1 through 16, 17 to 17 through whatever, and the scenes look a little bit different as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at those first, so that then that way nobody gets confused on that. For example, this icon here, when you select it, you notice that this little menu comes up. Okay, and if I select here, it shows pattern 1, 2, 3, and 4. You've seen that being implemented into this little box here, as well as in the background back here. Okay, so whenever you select one of these boxes, you see that it corresponds with the patterns over here. So once you fill that up, there's a little plus icon right here, and it creates more patterns for you right here. So that's where your patterns are going to be. And if I was to start a pattern here, notice how it leaves off where I left off. So make sure that you use up these scenes here, so that way you don't get confused and wonder where your patterns are. Because when we have unlimited scenes and patterns now, this can get pretty lengthy here, and that way you won't get confused. Just X out of that like that, and then we can bring it back to its default state like so. Okay, so that's pretty much how that works. Then you have this icon here where your pads, you can set up your keynotes, your choke groups, your link groups, as far as linking sound together, setting up the polyphony and things like that. Like you can do like a shift over a whole entire group, like press pad 1, hold it down, hold shift and press the last pad, and you can set your polyphony to choke off all the sounds at one time if you want to do that. Your polyphony is located here. It's under your sampler. Velocity is down here. You have a paint icon here. If you want to paint in your automation, and you have an eraser tool here if you're going to be erasing samples or notes and things of that nature. Because I think someone had asked me, they said they were clicking down here and they weren't getting anything. I think they had it on the eraser tool here, because if you go on like that and you think your computer's glitching, you're like, yo, I'm clicking the heck out the button. Why is it not showing up? Because it's got to be on the paint tool, like this, or it's got to be on this little arrow looking key like that. And then your notes can come in. You can use your eraser tool like this, or you can right click. Either way, quantization can be set up here. You pretty much know how this goes. You pretty much see how it's about the same as 1.8. You just gotta basically understand the navigation is basically the same. So that's pretty much how this works. Okay, so let me go ahead and click out of here right quick. Same thing, we have the grid icon here. Of course, this is your grid. You have your piano roll here, and of course you have your sample tab here. And as you can see right here, I'm talking on the mic. We'll get into this in a minute. As far as editing and slicing, and you got the neat little tools that you can go in here and do like different things. So we're gonna get into that in a minute. So let's just walk here step by step, and we'll get into the audio drag modes, the MIDI. You have this icon here where you can adjust the size of your views, such as the scene, and you have this icon here where you can zoom in and zoom out, as well as you can do the same thing down here. Okay, and if you don't know by now, your scenes you can loop. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a beat like a bar, 2 bars, or on a 3rd beat or 4th beat. You can loop anywhere in the time signature now. That's a really cool feature. I usually stay on the 4/4 time signature, so I don't know. I think it's just a lot better on time like that. But there's different time signatures for different styles of music. Okay, right here is your retrigger device, and right here is where you can set up when you're playing scenes, how you want the scenes to play. By these certain notes. You can even turn it off and get some live performance, almost like some mixing effects. I did a video on that before. You might want to take a look at that. Exactly the same, works the same, nothing's changed there. Right here you have a CPU icon. I've been trying to figure this out. I thought it would show me my system resources in like a box or something, but it doesn't. So if I'm doing that wrong, anybody let me know. I know they put this little CPU icon here for a reason. It might be for a future update. I think that's what it could be, and we can actually view how much of our system resources are being used, or the multi-core support. Right here is the level meter, and let you know if you're clipping or not, but you can view that on a hardware controller. Right here's your bars and beats. This is your follow icon. If you want to follow when you're playing scenes, and you go right click right here and you can go to time, because I know a lot of producers, they want to know, for example, how long their song is. Is it 3 minutes? Is it 4 minutes? 2 minutes? So that's a nice feature. I know a lot of people were asking about that. And here's your metronome right here. I can click on it here, or I can do it from the hardware controller like this. So when I press play, tight sounding clock with the MPC click. The other metronome, I didn't really like it too much, so I changed mine. Same thing with the scenes. You would imagine how that works. Same as it does with the new pattern arranger. It has a plus icon right here. You can add them like this. That's one way, and you can set your lengths and all that good stuff. But another way you can do it, you can click right here, and you see how that works. It works exactly the same. So if these are 2 scenes, and then let's say I needed more scenes, and I went down here and I put this right here, it's starting off on scene 3 where it left off there. So Again, you might want to be aware of that as far as setting up your scenes like this here, because it's going to leave off, you know, wherever you left off. So, you know, if you want everything in a nice sequential order, that's basically how you do it. And if you want to go back to your default, you know, you just do it like this here. Okay, so that's how that works. Or you can do it from here also, for as far as setting up your groups. And we'll get to that in a second, because you also can do it from the mixer view. And I'm going to get into explaining this mixer view in a minute here. You know, as far as your inputs and outputs and plugins and, you know, setting up your sidechain. I like to jump back and forth between the mixer screen, because you actually can set the sidechain up from this screen also. So, you know, sidechain is not just for bass and kicks. You also can use it on vocals and snares and stuff like that. But I'm not going to go into some big drawn out explanation with that. You guys already know how that goes anyway. All right, so basics in getting started. Okay, we covered the metronome. Of course, here's your beats per minute. Of course, here's your transport. Still no stop button yet. I would like to see a little stop button in there, but this is cool. Of course, I'm gonna get into showing you how to tag you know, your attributes and your filters. This is the Maschine library right here. Of course, we have the effects tab, instruments tab, your groups and your sounds, and you know, you can browse by banks now. You can go, like, for example, you can browse a 1.8 library, you can browse 2.0 library, all. You know, if you want to go by kicks, kits, you know, whatever case may be, your native instruments sounds are going to be here. Your user library is going to be here. I'm going to get into this in a second also, because this icon here, any kits that you import, they're going to be left like this little blank samples style, like little menu, and it'll say like NI and the hardware controller, but you can put your own graphics, as I've done here. And you know, you can browse by, you know, if you just want to browse your kicks, you know, here goes some tag filters I put in there just to help you narrow down your sounds by using this edit icon down here. But we'll get into that in a minute. But again, this just gives it a nice attractive little GUI. And of course, you have your files here where you can go through, you know, your hard drive and stuff like that. Nothing's changed here as far as saving your sounds. You know, you can save your projects with samples. Everything pretty much works the same. You can export audio. Well, we'll get into that a little bit into some later videos, because it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just going to be a basic little menu. You know, you put your destination desktop wherever you want that to be, your master output, sound output. You know, all this works the same, just looks a little bit different. You know, you got your 32-bit float here if you want 16-bit, 24, loop optimized, something you definitely always going to want to use. You can normalize it, you know, all that good stuff there. And of course, I just have my studio controller hooked up, even though I still have my MK1. So whoever's on the MK1, MK2, it's backwards compatible. So it works with the MK1 and also the MK2. You just won't get certain things on your screen as it shows up on the studio, but no big deal. Let's take a look at audio and MIDI settings. Again, I'm using my USB mic right now. It has a built-in sound card, you know, just because I want, you know, you to be able to hear me talking as well as the audio and the video. And this is where your MIDI devices will show up. You can turn them on here. You know, you have your inputs and you have your outputs here, as you can see there, and your routing. And basically, that's how you get that set up. You know, I have a lot to actually add on here, and because I'm just. You know, it's not really hard. The new 2.0 software is very intuitive, and it's also, they made it with a workflow that's very easy. At first, it can seem to be a little overwhelming, but it's actually not. It's actually a very simple layout, and that's why in this video, I'm going to put in certain key points that I believe can get you up and running in no time. And I guarantee you, by the end of this video, bam, you can come back to it, and it's going to help you out in so many ways. And what more can I say? It's going to be very, very helpful to those who are new. And I'm going to be covering the whole Maschine Studio and 2.0 videos for free. And just, you know, be patient, and we'll put those out as fast as I can. I was going to put a lot more, but I figured, hey, in this video here, let's put a lot of information in this one video, because you know, we're like a little bit behind, so it's time to get caught up. All right, so with that being said, you have this icon here where here's your outputs. You know, if you want to set up you know, your tracks individually to Pro Tools, Sonar, Cubase, whatever your DAW of choice is, you can do that there. Your Qs, your levels, your pans, all this works the same. We have a new audio mute button. I think that's kind of cool. And of course, here's your auxes for if you're going to be doing your multi effects change routing and internal routing and things of that nature. Looks pretty much the same. Your post and pre looks a little bit different. Again, here's your aux 2, and then you have the automation lane right here. You can close that down like that if you don't want to see that, because you can have a MIDI device actually learn for like the macros. Like, for example, here's your pages. You can assign your macros by moving a knob, and then it's pretty much it's learning, and you can add more pages like this if you need more pages and things of that nature. X those out. Again, same thing. You have a sound level, group level, as well as a master level, and you guys pretty much know how that goes. Here's your plugins, and of course right here, Native Instruments broke it down into Native Instruments plugins, and then you have your external plugins that are located over there, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. And because I know somebody's gonna want to know how to choke off your sounds, because I'm pretty sure when you first come in, it's gonna be like blank right here, and somebody's gonna be like, yo, how do I choke off my sounds? Because it's gonna be, let me see, where's the none button? It's gonna be like that, I think, because it's gonna be like that, then no sounds. And when you start adding sounds, you're gonna be like, the first thing you're gonna do is you don't want a bunch of overlapping sounds, so you're gonna have to hit here and go to your sampler, and that's how you view that. And then you can go to your different other filters and effects, or you can do that with the hardware controller, as I'm doing right here. So all that's pretty much the same, as you can see. Look, it has all the little learn buttons down there, so you can assign that really easy, which is cool. That's pretty much just point and click. And your polyphony, it goes to a lower setting by pressing the up arrow, all the way up to the legato, and when you press down, it goes to a higher setting. So lower settings means less noise, and higher settings mean you're starting to get into some really loud noises. Okay. And of course, again, you have your user groups here, and your patterns and groups, sounds, instruments and effects and samples and all that good stuff here. This is pretty much the same, almost, just pretty much a little bit different layout, other than, I like the way you can browse through your banks and stuff like that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive in a little bit more deeper and see what else the Maschine 2.0 software has to offer. And right about now, I think I got a knock at the door, so I got to pause the video, and we'll continue on. All right, and I'm back. Sorry about that, fam. I had a knock at the door, and it was some new gear coming in. I mean, you guys know how that go. When you get that new gear coming in, you want to run to the door, right? All right, so to get that sampler set up, again, you want to be in the plugin icon here, and you want to go right here to where it says sampler, okay? And then that's where you can set up your polyphony settings. Going up is lower, hitting the down arrow goes to a higher polyphony, so if you don't want anything super noisy and overlapping, you select your polyphony to 1. You also can hold shift on the first pad. Put this mic down for a minute and go down to the last one, and you can actually adjust the polyphony on a large scale, and just go ahead and make them all cut each other off at one time. And I'll show that a little bit later in another video. That's not even nothing, but yeah, so then that way your sounds can cut each other off. Now, another thing I wanted to show you was the mixing screen here. Okay, so as you can see right here, here are some groups. So you have this little plus icon here where we actually can create more groups, as I'm doing here. Okay, and you can right click and delete them, if you have unused groups that you don't need. So that's basically how you get rid of those. You also have a master channel here. If you select your master channel, it kind of looks like everything erased. Don't worry, it didn't. You have this little plus icon here. Again, this is where if you want to select your plugins, you can do it from this screen also. And your groups are here. You have inputs here. you know, your plugins, for example. You can do all, you know, 1, 2, you know, whatever the case may be. You know, if you want to use your audio inputs, things of that nature, all that can be found there on this particular screen right here. So let's scroll this back a little bit. For example, you can have up to 4 inputs here, as you can see there. So that's pretty cool. And then you got your MIDI inputs and things of that nature, where you can select your MIDI sources and stuff like that. So, you know, you also have your MIDI outs down here. So group, MIDI out, you know, things like that. So it's a pretty cool little mixer. You know, on the actual physical hardware controller itself, you know, you can monitor your levels, and, you know, 9 times out of 10 the hardware controller, you're gonna be looking at that, make sure nothing's clipping. Plus we got a little monitor LED on there also. So that's just a fast overview of the mixer section. You know, you're going to be getting really familiar with that. Probably one of the more favorite things I do like about the new 2.0 software. So, you know, that in itself is cool. You know, and then you can set up your side chain and stuff like that. I mean, you got this little plus icon right here, you know, where you can pull up your plugins here. But again, for me, I just don't like jumping back and forth on my screens from the software. You know, from the controller, it's a little bit quicker. So what I like to do is I'll just like, I'll be back on this screen. For example, I don't know if you want to side chain a certain sound like bass, you know, side chaining can be used for vocals, you know, whatever the case may be. You can do it here. Like, for example, if I use built in like the solid bus comp, for example, and, you know, go to my side chain, select a source, I don't know, just grab, you know, whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, whatever you want to do, you'll find it in here, you know, and then, you know, you pull it up like this here, and then, you know, you do your settings, whatever it is that you need to do. That's basically how that works without, you know, going to super drawn out long explanation. Of course, you would have to have your, you know, your MIDI pattern in here or whatever. So, you know, I'm not trying to make a beat or nothing. I'm just putting that in real quick just to give you an idea, you know, and then your side chain or whatever you needed to side chain. Another quick question I had, somebody said they were getting stuck. They were tapping on the pattern arranger here, and they couldn't get it to pull up the, you know, the little MIDI icons. That's because you might have touched this down here, maybe like your paint icon for the velocity, or, you know, well, the paint icon would work, but if you might have had it on this eraser here. If you have it on this eraser here, that's to erase. You know, so if you're going like that, you're like, my computer's glitching. Your computer's not glitching. It's because you got to go back to one of these two. You know, and your quantization is set up here. You know, as we're following through here, you know, if you want to set up your quantization for 16th notes, 32nd, 64th, whatever the case may be, you'll find that down there. Over here is you remember from the 1.8 when you're dragging MIDI and audio, these two icons, this one's MIDI. Obviously looks like a little, I guess like a face kind of in a way, and then this little waveform, that's audio. So let's say if I was on this one sound like this highlighted, what's dope about it, and I'll do it another video, you can just like take this audio pattern here and drag it right onto a track, and it's automatically gonna bring the audio like super quick and like no waiting. Like, remember in Maschine 1.8, it would be like you would see like a progress bar going up. That's gone. And I was like, man, that is so tight, because I got tired of waiting for that progress bar. It's like almost instantaneous on here, like bam, like so quick. MIDI notes too, tracking out MIDI. Like if you got a MIDI pattern in here, let's say if you're on a piano roll here, you got a MIDI pattern one, I'll show it in another video. You press this and it's just tracked out. Like you can go to each individual sound like this right here. Oh man, that's major time saver there, man. All right, so let's take a look at the sampler here. For example, this is where you can do your editing. You know, you have your truncate, normalize, all the good stuff from the previous Maschine, time stretch. If you want to see a mono source, here's that mono icon I was mentioning. You know, you want to see your files in a mono format, you can do it there, or stereo format. That's what this little icon is here for. You know, you can get in here and adjust your samples, and you know, if you want to come in here and highlight a certain section, you know, you can do it like that. You can save that part of that. So that's pretty cool. And then it has like a little scissor tool too, like where is it at? Right here. You can like go in here, well, I'm not gonna say a scissor tool, more like it looks like a knife, and you can just go in here and you can add little slices, whatever. And this is that icon that I was telling you about, where if you don't want to have the pattern show up, you press no pattern, and when you press apply, it won't be there, or you can replace patterns too. Like if you chop it up another way, and like I like this better, you could do that. And again, on the hardware controller, it has a clear button. You could do it too. So if you want to be on the safe side and make sure patterns show up, leave it on create pattern. If that pattern showing up with noise, you just select no pattern. You could remove slices, and things of that nature. So kind of looks like I don't know. What can I say? It's an eraser. It looks like an eraser. So you can erase stuff and bring it back like that. All right. So that's how that works. And you got the mode. Your modes down here: manual, split, grid, detect. You know how that goes, or rather, you guys should be familiar with that already. No need to even cover that. Then you got your zone. If you want to map it out, if you want it to be on a specific key. For example, if you're spreading your sounds across the keyboard, stuff like that, you can take this and put, man. Do you know how many sounds you could put on here? Oh man, it's like, let me just put that back. I don't even want to think about that, because that'd be like a headache. Just imagining all them sounds you can put on there, and then like you can adjust the velocity, and you could layer sounds and stack sounds, and you can use this for putting synthesizer sounds and layer on, making whole new synthesizer sounds, and just going super deep into sound design on this little area here. Whew. All right. So, oh yeah, and this little icon here too. This is where you can bring samples really quick into that little menu there. That's a nice touch also. All right. Oh, and when you're recording, before I forget, if you're recording, that's just me on the mic. I'm using my little mic is coming in on that little channel there, but it's still coming out stereo though. But you can select your sources here, right there: external stereo, external mono, internal source. You have your inputs here, up to 4. Sync modes, you know how that goes. If you want to go by a certain length, bar, 1 bar, 2 bar, 4 bars, it'll automatically cut it off for you. Free mode, you can stop it by yourself. Detect mode works by a certain decibel length. Like, if I had this up like this, and then you're seeing me talking right there, that wouldn't start sampling. Yo, let me see if I can get it up a little bit, like until it was like yo, like something like right there, up in that decibel range. Then it will start recording. It will just be like waiting for whatever. So okay, now let's see, what do I want to get into now? I don't want to jump all over the place. I just want to get you guys up and going with the basics. So let's take a look at the basic setup. Audio MIDI settings. You see right here, I'm using my USB audio microphone. I don't have my sound card hooked up because, hey, I'm doing a tutorial video. You can select your sample rate here, your drivers here, whether ASIO, WASP, whatever the case may be. Your routings here, your output, your input. You set that up here. MIDI, you see right there my little MIDI controller, and the studio hardware controller right there. That's how you get that set up. Let's go to preferences right quick, because I want to show. Somebody was asking me about the all right, well we'll just go down a list to make it easier. All right, here's the preferences and the general box here, your startup. If you want to reload your last project, you select this box here. Sometimes people like to start with a blank project. Some people want to start with a template project. You might have a certain way you like it laid out with your kicks and snares. I mean, not kicks and snares, but your plugins and things like that. A certain set bar length. You might want to have it however you want it. That button right here will allow that to take place if you create a template, and also show you how you can set it up under your defaults also. All right, right here's where you can set up your sync offset slave. If your metronome, if you want to have it enabled, again, software or the hardware that can be controlled from. If you look up top where it says beat per minute, like look up there. See how they're both going at the same time? You can do it from the hardware controller or using your mouse, same thing. Okay, that's how that works. And if I press play, you hear like that little click. That's the MPC click. I like that one because I don't like that annoying boop boop boop. But that drives me up the wall. All right, so right here's your counting link under your defaults. There it is, where I'm putting my MPC click is that other click was driving me crazy. You got the downbeat sample and your upbeat sample. You put those there. Yeah, if you need those files, just let me know. I'll get you that if that sound is driving you crazy too. So right here's your template project. If you want to have a certain project, when you open it up, it opens up every time. From standalone mode, that's there. And if you want a certain plugin mode, you set that up right there. So that's pretty much how that works. So whether you're in standalone mode or plugin mode, you will find those here. You know, whether you use a Maschine for an effects engine, VST, whatever the case may be. Library section. I can't stress this enough to anybody out there. Do not move that Maschine library folder. I mean, just do not do it. I mean, you can move it and try to rescan it thinking that's gonna work. That's not gonna work, bro. That folder that folder, man, it will drive you crazy. Like, you'll have to sit there and uninstall the whole library and then reinstall it again, and that takes time. I was waiting for that library to install, and man, let me tell you, I was like, man, that joint, you might as well go make a sandwich, go drink you a soda, turn on the TV. Yeah, it's gonna take a little minute. So trust me, once you get that loaded up, let it do its job and put it in the right spot, and don't mess with it. And it'll show up here under factory. You don't want it under user. If you put it under user, you're gonna have some problems. User is where you want to put like your stuff, like your libraries, like custom kits and stuff. Like, here, I got some right here because I'm still, you know, putting sounds in there, and then you press add and you add them in there, and then you press rescan. Okay. So if anything gets out of whack, you can go over here to the libraries and press rescan, and your plugins show up here. These are my third-party plugins. Those go there under your manager. You know, basically the same thing as 1.8. It's just a little bit different, and you'll start to see it's like, bam, so easy. Like, trust me, if you just spend a little time on this program, you'll get it down in like a day or two. I've been on this for like 2 days. You'll get it like so fast. You'll have it mastered in no time. And then once you start making music on the Maschine Studio controller, like, just press record and play and start making music. And yo, I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, it's so easy. Hardware, obviously controlling sensitivity and all that good stuff, color assignments and all that good stuff. So yeah, again, your user kits will be found here, your native instruments kits will be found here. This is your file tab where you can go through your computer and find your stuff. If you got external drives, again, these are your tabs if you want to, you know, look for certain effects, instruments. You know, again, you can tag and filter your own sounds. With your attributes, you have this little attribute folder down here. Just for example, let's pretend like this was some sound that I wanted. You know, you can type in sounds here and search for sounds, and you know, you put your attributes here. Okay, like if I was on some of my sounds, let's see, let's go to sample tab, all samples, anyone, whether it's this one, it comes up like that. And then these little types, they show up like that, whether you're in, you know, clap group, you know, if you want to look at claps, that's what this is for. You know, you double click that. You know, if you just want to look for kicks, percussion, snares, 808s, whatever the case may be, you click right there and then they show up. You know, and then like that one just says drums or whatever. Or let's go back. If I was on Brooklyn drums, for example, or my hot butter drums, or whatever the case may be, you know, studio insomnia, things like that, you know, fat stacks, you know, whatever the case may be, you know, you tag and filter your sounds down here, and that makes it browsing through the hardware controller really easy to narrow down your sounds. Again, and when it comes to your projects, you know, you can save as, you can save project with samples, you know, set up default libraries, you know, you set up your preferences here again, you know, so it's pretty much it in a nutshell as far as going over the basics. But anyway, it's your boy Fontaine, VIPSoundLab.com. Come by, check out some of the drum kits. If you have any questions or concerns, hit me up. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.